Now don't get me wrong, I am very excited for Wave 3 as a whole. However, in terms of remakes, 2 tracks have stood out to me in terms of amplifying the original track, making it feel like a brand new track, or just adding some Mario Kart 8 flavour to it. First of all, we got to talk about Boo Lake. Now obviously comparing Boo Lake in 8 Deluxe to the original, I mean, the differences are night and day, and obviously it's due to limitations of the hardware, but I mean, this is just one of those things where it's just a completely different track. We've seen this time and time again in Mario Kart 8 with the other GBA tracks such as Mario Circuit, and even in this DLC, Snowland, which was one of my favourite tracks in Wave 2. They didn't just copy and paste the original outline of the track and call it a day. They gave the track some anti-gravity, and on top of that, because it's called Boo Lake, they flooded the track. And guess what? We get to drive in the flood. That makes too much sense, and it just takes this stage to a whole nother level. I really like the background, it's very creepy and it reminds me of Luigi's Mansion. Hopefully a track that we'll get soon in this DLC. And even though the trailer didn't reveal this, I'm assuming that the music is going to be amazing for this. 8 Deluxe has not held back when it came to the remixes of older tracks, and I can imagine that the music is going to sound eerie, sinister and creepy as we drive on this track, I guarantee it. Now obviously looking at this track at face value, it's very clear that it's been revamped by 1,000, but even when you slow down and look at the minor details like adding fish bones to the underwater section of this track, and even how high up the water is in this level to obviously complement the name of the track, this is such an impressive retro track already, and we haven't even played it yet. You see Peach Gardens here? What do I even say here? This is just the prettiest it's ever been, and it's added so much more character and liveliness to this track. Before, all of the bushes looked lifeless and oddly shaped, but now they're actually modelled like actual Mario characters, and it actually gives me a lot of Daisy Circuit vibes in that regard. Now I know that this DLC loves its high contrast. I know it's very controversial amongst the Mario Kart community. For me personally, I like it a lot, and it works so well in this remake. Like, the colours just pop, and it really reminds me a lot of 3D World. Not to mention they added water fountains that was not in the original or the Wii version. Again, just casually adding some new details here and there. And something that I'm starting to notice as I re-watch the gameplay for Peach Gardens more and more, it seems like Peach Gardens is going against a lot of the complaints I've been having with this booster course pass. Some tracks feeling a little bit narrow, this looks pretty spacious. Lack of details on some of the tracks, this is definitely one of the more detailed looking tracks in this booster course pass. And back in Wave 1, Sky Garden got this wrong, and that's lack of identity. This is still very recognisable as Peach Gardens, and I can imagine that when we race on it, when it comes out, it will still feel like Peach Gardens. But overall, I would say that these are the 2 tracks from Wave 3 that have impressed me the most in terms of taking one track and transforming it. This doesn't necessarily mean that I prefer Boo Lake over Maple Treeway or even Peach Gardens over 3DS Rainbow Road, but in terms of the transformation and in terms of what they've done to turn them into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe retro tracks, I feel like these 2 are like the perfect example for the rest of this wave to follow. But I gotta give an honourable mention to 3DS Rainbow Road because that road is immaculate. Wave 3 is looking good. Wave 3 is 100% looking good, and my excitement levels are very high. All of the tracks look very well designed, well, outside of Alpine Pass looking a bit cheap, but outside of that, everything looks immaculate. A little too immaculate. Okay, yeah, let's be honest, you know that there'll still be people online making nitpicks here and there, but for me personally and for many others, we've reached like the peak level of this DLC, which is crazy to think because only a few months ago when Wave 2 came out, we were saying the same thing. So where do I think the DLC is heading in now? Well, to put it simply, I think we're in the end game now. The SGB, we're in the middle of the DLC. What are you talking about? At the very beginning of this whole Booster Course Pass saga, I've been saying that Nintendo is going to start off simple, maybe even small, and then end things on a large scale. Seeing how things are getting better each wave, I still believe it, possibly even more now. Notice how we're getting more and more fan favourites as we're going deeper into each wave. Notice how we haven't had a Rainbow Road track in the Booster Course Pass until now. Also, have you noticed that there's a lot more variety in the tracks selected and track theming? Now, I'm not saying that everything feels the same in Wave 1, but compared to now, there is a lot more variety, and I feel like the theming kind of stretches a lot more now. I feel like a lot of the tracks in the previous 2 waves felt a little bit narrow at times. Obviously it's hard to tell because we don't have Wave 3 in our hands yet, but a lot of the tracks selected are pretty expansive. Like Peach Gardens, for example. I mean, it's a garden with chain chomps, of course that's going to be a one track. Then you've got Maple Tree Way, where obviously there's massive wigglers everywhere. And Boo Lake literally has an entire underwater section. This is actually the first underwater section in this Booster Course Pass, by the way. So because Nintendo is upping the scales each and every wave, one of these tracks finally getting a full-on underwater section, 3DS Rainbow Road having unnecessarily great treatment by making the road look absolutely amazing, the fact that we even got a Rainbow Road track, and one thing that I haven't even mentioned yet, the fact that we haven't even had a single Double Dash track yet in this Booster Course Pass. There's a lot of pressure on this second half of this DLC because there's a lot of gaps that need to be filled, and seeing how Wave 3 is basically the peak of this DLC at the moment, you're going to have to figure out a way to top that. But that shouldn't be too difficult because there are a ton of tracks that you can pick for us, Nintendo. Haven't had a Bowser's Castle track yet, keep that in mind. So although I'm excited for Wave 3 and I should really be grateful for Wave 3 right now, if anything it's got me super excited for the second half of this DLC, because if we're in the middle of this DLC and we're at the peak, and there's still a lot of tracks left on the table in terms of fan service and obviously the more popular tracks and the more interesting tracks, this could be very good. I just thought of something. Imagine I'm there just hyping up Bowser's Castle for the second half of the DLC, only for them to just remake a GBA or a SNES Bowser's Castle. I mean, unless they give it the GBA retro track treatment, I mean, that would work, I think, but Nintendo just don't do that. That would just be such a missed opportunity. You know what, I thought that this was going to be announced in December. Knowing how Nintendo is, I thought that they were just going to wait until the very last minute to announce this thing. But no, late November, step in the right direction. Nice, I'm liking this energy, Nintendo. Yeah. Very good start, yeah. Maple Tree Way is a goated Mario Kart track, yeah, I'm very happy. I think Rosalina was checking out the track as well because, get wrecked. That remix is so good, like, it's just not what I expected at all. It reminds me quite a bit of the autumn version of Animal Crossing from the first ever Mario Kart 8 DLC. It's very nice, I like it, and it complements the track very well. Are you seeing the textures right now? These trees look immaculate. What on earth did they do to the road? That looks amazing. Why did they do this? This is so unnecessary, but it looks so good. Why did you do this? This is so beyond what I expected. Guys, you can look through the road. Like, what game is this at this point? And that music as well, man, the remixes. I'm telling you, the remixes are some of the most overlooked parts of this Booster Course Pass because they're still going all in. They're still going all in with these music tracks. My hat goes off to Nintendo. Again, another banger. The GBA tracks in Mario Kart 8 are the best. I'm just gonna say it. I know that's a hot take. The GBA tracks, they always go above and beyond every single time. One of the biggest complaints about the last 2 waves is that there hasn't been a retro track that has taken advantage of underwater racing. Those people should be happy now. The thing is, I don't play Mario Kart Tour, so this is a new track to me. This track, again, looks pretty cool. I've had no complaints about any of the Mario Kart Tour original tracks. So far, they've all been pretty good, so I'm assuming that this one will be no different. Also, what is with the cyberbullying in this reveal trailer? Let Mario experience the new track. Like, why are you just clapping him with this banana peel? So one, Dwayne Johnson Mountain is actually called Alpine Pass in the UK, so sorry to my American viewers, but I am a Britishman. But two, this was one of my favourite tracks in Mario Kart 7, despite me not being the biggest fan of the music. Hopefully this DLC could fix that. I'm very glad that they brought this one back, and hopefully it's just enhanced and a better version of the Mario Kart 7 version. Okay, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm gonna be that guy. I'm sorry, but this is probably the worst looking area in this trailer so far. Like, you've got Rainbow Road, hyper textured, Maple Treeway, the trees. This, oh no, I'm getting Toad Circuit vibes. Oh no, this is okay, I'll give you a pass. Hopefully it looks a bit better in person and when we actually play it. And also, it doesn't look as bad as Toad Circuit. But it's just, I got my eye on you, Nintendo. Lots of people may disagree with me on this, but this is probably the track I'm most hyped for Wave 3. The nostalgia, I'm telling you, nostalgia is a powerful thing, you know. And they just completely revamped one of my childhood tracks. I cannot wait for this. Hey, come on, they finally done the London one. Hey, okay, I haven't played it to be honest, but still, my hometown is in Mario Kart. That's what I like. I'm looking forward to this one. Okay, so I know that this is a Christmas track, but for some reason, this track is sending me to N64 Rainbow Road. I don't know if it's the train or the very long and curvy road, but it just sends my mind immediately to that for some reason.
The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass.
Wait, we were just watching a reveal trailer for Wave 3 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass? Wow, I did not know that. Early December, that's very interesting. I would have placed money that Wave 3 would have come out at the end of December. So, nice. Not a long wait.
With a paid Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack membership.
You need 3 hands to play with the N64 controller, so no thanks. I already have the Booster Course Pass, so forget that. This Animal Crossing DLC is called Happy Home Paradise, but my island is already a paradise, so sit down. Splatoon 2 is old, so forget that. And Sega Genesis Collection, Sega Mega Drive Collection, already exists on the Nintendo Switch. So no, Nintendo, I don't want your Happy Meal. I just want the meal that I asked for. No toy included. What was that an ad for? Okay, I have a really big soft spot for the Sega intro, but that one was really sick. Very clean, nicely animated, and I like it a lot. Okay, I was gonna make an on your left joke, but I guess in this case it's on your down. Also, I don't know if this is just me, but why did these robots look like hench paper clips? And that, my friends, is what we call a connection. Okay, I know that this is all cutscenes and stuff, very nice looking cutscenes at that, but this trailer is having me very, very excited for the new combat that we're going to be playing with in Sonic Frontiers. Because if it's anything like this, you've got me. Falcon Punch minus the Falcon. Bro, look at this combat. This looks really cool, man. Okay, me seeing that spaceship thing in the background in this part of this trailer really did send my mind back to when I first saw Gyarados flying in the sky in Pokemon Legends Arceus. That is pretty terrifying. Yeah, Sonic music never disappoints, like even in the bad games, the music is still good 9 times out of 10, so yeah, I'm looking forward to the soundtrack to this game. I have a strong feeling that it's going to be good. I'm sorry, but every time I see Sonic and Tails with that red plane, it always brings me back. Like, the nostalgia levels are way high every time I see that, so I just want to say thank you to Sega for bringing that back and potentially making that part of the story as well. Am I the only one who thinks that Big the Cat looks nothing like a cat? Like, to me he always looks like... Actually, I don't know what he looks like, he's just a weird guy. City Escape, but minus the city. The boss fights are what I'm most excited about, 100%. Like, the boss fights, from what I've seen, from the very beginning to where we are now, right before the game's release, All of them look incredibly fun, high stakes, and each boss fight seems to be taking advantage of Sonic's new abilities that's been introduced in Sonic Frontiers, which, as we discussed, looks very fun to play with on its own. So the boss fights look very cool, and I can't wait to try them out. And also, look at these boss designs. They look so weird, crazy, and different, but they work so well, and it literally caught my interest fully, because now I want to see what parts they play in the story and how they differentiate themselves from each other. I'm also very interested to see what abilities each bosses have that makes them stand out, and I'm sure that the way that you destroy each boss isn't going to be the same from the last. Like, there's so many questions that I've built up in my head. I'm telling you, out of everything that this game has shown so far, the boss fights are definitely the most convincing thing to me, and the most exciting thing to me. Wait, what is this? Sonic sees some flying type moves from Pokemon now? What is this? Hey, B-Tech Palkia is back. Nice. Mate, are you seeing these graphics right now? These are easily some of the best Sonic cutscenes I've ever seen. If you want to just talk about visuals, they really got this on point. Wanting people to upgrade to a new console only to still sell brand new games on the previous console. But I appreciate it though, because you're helping people like me who can't afford a PS5 to be able to play brand new games. So thank you, Sony. I highly doubt that I'll be the only person to say that Mario Kart Wii is one of my childhood games. This is definitely one of my most played Mario Kart games, and is one of my all-time favourite Mario Kart games. In my opinion, it's up there with 8 Deluxe and DS as the best Mario Kart game, but many other people would say that it's the best Mario Kart game. Quite a lot of people as well, but why do we love Mario Kart Wii specifically? We know that Mario Kart in general is a beloved franchise, but there's something about Mario Kart Wii that gets extra attention and extra love. Why is that the case? Nostalgia is definitely a factor in this. What you need to remember is that this is a Wii game. Oh, I didn't know that. Meaning that this was a lot of people's first ever Mario Kart game. The Wii came out in the 2000s and was aimed at a casual audience for the most part. So that is a massive window of opportunity to get people into Mario Kart and Nintendo as a whole. So it makes a lot of sense that this was a lot of people's first Mario Kart game, and it makes a lot of sense that they have a lot of fond memories with Mario Kart Wii. But there's definitely a lot more to it than that. You can feel nostalgia towards the game, but over time it could age and become irrelevant. But Mario Kart Wii is still very relevant today. There's still servers, and it has a very loyal fan base, which is another reason as to why I think it's so beloved. It's very likely that Mario Kart Wii is the most fan-led Mario Kart game to date. Official servers for this game terminated in 2014, and yet this game is still thriving to this day via CTGP. The fact that fans now have a major input into the game really did attract a lot of fans, especially loyal fans of Mario Kart Wii. So when official servers went down, people basically said, is it really? And then just got to work on custom tracks and just playing online on these new fan-made servers. So the game had the nostalgia and is active today, but will any of that matter if the core original game itself was trash? Good thing for Mario Kart Wii, this is one of the most solid Mario Kart games to date, and I'm definitely not the only one who believes this. Another reason why Mario Kart Wii is so beloved, and possibly my favourite part about Mario Kart Wii, has to be the Nitro track. Out of all of the Mario Kart games, I think Mario Kart Wii has the strongest selection of Nitro tracks. Track themings vary quite a bit, and even in terms of the track layout, they're very interesting and sometimes very complex. Mario Kart Wii also introducing half pipe and the trick system made all of these tracks a ton more fun to play. As much as I love Mario Kart DS, it did feel quite empty whenever we went off of ramps, whereas in Mario Kart Wii they're incredibly satisfying, which definitely contributed to the satisfying feel of the gameplay. Tracks like Maple Tree Way, DK Snowboard Cross, Toad's Factory, Mushroom Gorge all have a ton of bouncy sections, a ton of tricks, and drastically different themings from each other, which kept things fresh and interesting. And even if you want to talk about more traditional tracks like Bowser's Castle and Rainbow Road, themings that have been done to death by this point, these are arguably the best versions of those traditional tracks. Bowser's Castle is good old Bowser's Castle, but with the Mario Kart Wii DNA, which is very crazy, very complex in terms of track layout, still having the trick system and half pipes intact, and amplifying the Bowser's Castle stakes by 100 by having a robotic Bowser that spits out fireballs. Yes, they did do that in Double Dash, but it's a lot more aggressive and it's right in the center of the split path section, meaning that there's a lot more to lose here and it's a massive risk if you did want to go through the middle. Basically, this track just keeps you busy. Mario Kart Wii's Rainbow Road is my all-time favorite Rainbow Road and favorite Mario Kart track. I could basically make an entire video on this one track, that's how much I love it. It basically has all of the things I just mentioned previously. Complex track design, very nice visuals, a ton of tricks, especially on the wavy section, and on top of that they have half pipes on a track that has no walls. That's pretty crazy to think about when you break it down. And this track has overall been dubbed one of the hardest Rainbow Road tracks in the series, which, similar to Bowser's Castle, is taking the original idea of a Rainbow Road track and amplifying it. The whole point of Rainbow Road is that it's difficult, so to make it more difficult than the previous, that's a step in the right direction and makes this one stand out, hence makes Mario Kart Wii stand out. As we're on the topic of tracks, the music in Mario Kart Wii is incredible, and it's definitely a major reason as to why this game is so beloved. A lot of the music is very upbeat, very contextual to the tracks that we're racing on as well, very catchy and memorable melodies. And not only have these music tracks been able to be synonymous with Mario Kart Wii, but also the Mario Kart series as a whole. Mario Kart Wii houses some of the most famous Mario Kart music to date. How many times have you heard the Coconut Mall theme, or the Cooper Cake theme? Well, a ton of people would say quite a few times. But speaking of quite a few, the character selection and even the character quantity makes Mario Kart Wii stand out even more. Fan favourites like Diddy Kong, Birdo, Bowser Jr. and of course Funky Kong, it would be illegal for me not to mention Monk. But Mario Kart Wii takes this even further. Not only did they add fan favourites and make the selection much bigger than Mario Kart DS and even previous Mario Kart games, but the weight classes and vehicles for said weight classes really are a massive game changer in Mario Kart Wii. Seeing that all of the characters can only use the bikes and karts that are available to that specific weight class really does make you think about, okay, who should I pick for this? It's kind of hilarious. Despite this variation, everyone still uses statistically the best character and bike combo that will not be named because it's very infamous. And that's because Mario Kart Wii is one of the most competitive Mario Kart games of all of them. Despite the item balancing being not balanced at all, Mario Kart Wii gets very spicy very quickly. Mario Kart Wii does have 12 players, meaning that there's more items to be thrown and just more going on, full stop. So using the best character and kart combo, or bike in this case, essentially flying around the track, wheeling, which is another reason why people love Mario Kart Wii. It's very fun and satisfying to pull off. It transforms Mario Kart Wii from a game for casuals and just for a chill playtest to an absolute madhouse on every single track. But that's a good thing because that creates memorable moments. But I think that's the overall reason why we all love Mario Kart Wii. It's memorable. Because of all of the reasons that we discussed in this video, Mario Kart Wii's legacy will forever be golden. Golden like Monk.
Today, lots of people around the world are playing Mario games. Thank you all so much.
No. Thank you for inventing the Mario. This has to be one of the craziest moments in gaming history. I know that's a big thing to say, but Chris Pratt is Mario, and Chris Pratt is speaking in a Nintendo Direct. What is this world that we live in right now? This is messing with my head right now. Like, Jack Black is on a Nintendo Direct talking about Mario, and he is Bowser in this film. Nothing about this makes sense, but I'm very curious to see how they do it. BTEC Smash Ultimate Character Reveal Trailer. I think these penguins are in dire need of knowledge, because how in any way did you actually think throwing snowballs would work? Okay, so first off, the visuals look very interesting, and it's weird as well. I can't really describe it. Just look at it. It's like, it's kind of realistic-ish in terms of lighting, but everything is still very cartoony looking. I do like the art style, and I'm sorry, he is Toad. Like, I still can't unsee that. This whole casting situation is crazy. Yeah, it's something about the lighting and the textures of everything. It's such a different looking animation. I don't know if it's because it's obviously a Mario film and it's combining two medias together, but this art style and this presentation looks very different to a lot of other modern films. It's just, visually, I like it a lot. It's very pretty. April 7th, I think that's a pretty reasonable release date. Obviously it's a bit of a wait, but they said that they still need to wrap up animation, so this should hopefully be good.
I want to thank all of you.
Wait, that's all we're getting? That's it? Are you serious? Oh my, wow. Okay, I mean, it's not Sonic Central bad, but that's it?
I hope you're looking forward to the next trailer.
In the coming months, you want to hype it up until that April release date. It is smart, and you've got a lot of people's attention, including mine. But man, I just wanted to see more. Well, video game movies can be very hit or miss. So far, visually, I already like it. Visually, I really like where they went with this. Hopefully, it will be a quality film. I'd like that release date. That's plenty of time to work on it, even after animation stages. I'm hoping that it does well, and yeah. I'm sorry, but what do you say to this film? He is Toad. To be completely honest with you, I think that the Nintendo Switch OLED was a big missed opportunity. I'm not saying that it had to be outclassed in the PS5 and being the most powerful console ever, but all it is just a touched up regular Nintendo Switch, but with some of the major problems like Joy-Con drift still being intact for some reason. However, one thing that I can never take away from this console are the variations and the design. Because even if you just want to have a look at the basic model of the Nintendo Switch OLED, just the white, I've always thought that this thing looks so pretty. Like, imagine putting this thing side by side with a PS5. Do you know how clean and immaculate that gaming setup is going to look? It just makes it look so clean and futuristic looking, and I don't know what it is about black and white consoles, but it just looks so professional and just so simple, and I love it. I think one key reason as to why I really like how the Nintendo Switch OLED looks is because of the dock. I think the dock is one of my favourite aspects of it. It just, especially in white, it just looks really clean. I just love how they rounded out the edges. It just makes the whole thing look a million times cooler. So yeah, it's super simple. It's the stock colour of the Nintendo Switch OLED, and it's nothing too crazy. I think the white version of the OLED Switch is very nice. The neon blue and red OLED, nah. This looks exactly the same as the original, minus the different dock. I've never been the biggest fan of the neon blue and red Joy-Cons anyway. I feel like it makes the Switch look like a toy. But you know, some people like that aesthetic, and all props to you, but I don't want this prop near me. The Splatoon 3 model on the other hand, yeah, I would have this in my house. Don't get me wrong, the Splatoon 2 Nintendo Switch looks very good, but this one, I think I might have to give the slight edge to the Splatoon 3 one. I just love the way that they've done the graffiti on this. Like, it's very slight, and it just gives this design a lot more emphasis. And then the colours of the Joy-Cons come through, and obviously they're the same signature colours as the Splatoon 3 game, and it works super well. Those are like the only two strong vibrant colours used in this whole special edition. I like it when only a few colours are highlighted instead of it just going completely overkill and the whole thing is super colourful and vibrant. That's why I didn't like the Mario 35th anniversary Nintendo Switch, because I thought that was overkill personally. With this, when it's only highlights and it's just the Joy-Cons, I feel like it really makes them pop even more, while simultaneously reflecting the game that it's based off of. Also, I like that little green splat on the dock. I feel like that's a very nice touch. It reflects the game that it's based off of, so that didn't hurt anyone, and I feel like Nintendo nailed this one. Now the Scarlet and Violet one, I really do like it. The only thing that I don't like about it is the back of the Joy-Con. I don't feel like they needed to do that, and from the back it does kind of look overkill, but outside of that, very royal looking and very fancy looking. Again, we're back to covering up the back of the Switch unit itself with logos, characters, etc. I'm all for that. I think it works super well. The dock looks very pretty, and from the looks of things it's glossy as well, which adds to that whole fancy nature of this special edition. Makes a lot of sense. The colours of the Joy-Cons are very appropriate, and I like the logos on the front. I feel like it reflects the game super well, as well as the legendaries on the dock. I also like how the legendaries aren't fully coloured in and they're just sort of all in one colour. Also, shout out to attention to detail on the back of the OLED Switch. You see that little Pokeball in the bottom left corner. Very smart idea, and even though not a lot of people will notice that, people like me will see it and be like, ah, I see what you did there. Also, that box art, mate, looking kinda nice. I need to get sponsored, man. Honestly, I actually want to review these.